Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to, that's right, the Prince of Fresh Air. I'm, of course, your host, the beloved, the most charismatic man in entertainment. But as of right now, you could call me the most melting man because right now in New York, it's sweltering hot. It's so hot, I had to call an Uber just to sit in traffic and air conditioning. That's how bad it's getting. But anyway, you know, I had a lot of people hit me up. Brad Pitt, Tom Brady, your Steph Curry. Everybody wants to be a guest on the podcast, and I always tell them you got to wait your turn because I already got somebody coming on. And I had the pleasure of recording with him last week, and a great conversation. He's doing his thing. He's killing it. He grew up in Arkansas, which is surprising. I'm gonna ask him about that later. But he grew up in Arkansas, now living in Texas. He graduated in 2002. So he's not. He's still a young cat. He's still living his life. He has one sister. His mom passed away when he was 11. Dad remarried. He has three daughters. So he's a dad. Killing it. And also, he hosts his own, and he created his own platform, the Black Club, which is specifically focused on promoting and helping other Black creators in their space. So it's an honor to have him on. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good chat, and I'm gonna have the AC running because I'm hot. But this conversation is gonna have you hot too. So please help me and welcome in Bino, aka Brandon Kirby. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Man, that's what's up. I like that. Thanks for having me.
And they've called me a couple of times to replace Martin Lawrence, and Bad Boys, but I told them I'm not here to take anybody's job, but
Yeah.
like I said, you have your own thing going on, but I gotta ask you right off the bat, because I've never been to Arkansas. I'm a city dude, so growing up in Arkansas, what was that like? Especially as a Black
Ah,
man, I don't know a lot of Black people in Arkansas.
man, look, it was different. You know, you had your typical racism, of course, but it was like from where I was from, it was a small town. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew everybody, so you really couldn't do nothing. It was that type where if you was on the other side of town and you got into something, somebody would call your parents, and by the time you got home, you'd be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that. So it wasn't bad. It was we didn't really realize what we didn't have or what we were lacking because I mean everybody, had what they wanted at the time. All we just cared about was playing outside and, you know, socializing. It's way different than what it is today.
Yeah, I always grew up in the city, and so I have no idea what Middle America looks like. Is it a lot of like farmland, in Arkansas and stuff like?
Trees everywhere. That's trees and animals and yeah, it's a lot of farmland, it's a lot of back roads, dirt roads. But it's pretty cool because everything is basically based around family. So,
Interesting. Wait, so when did you move to Texas?
in 2003.
Oh, so right after you graduated, you kind of.
Right. Well, I went to North Carolina after I graduated. I had went out there to help my uncle get his business off the ground. He had a flooring business that he was doing. And so I went out there for a year to help him and his son get it going. That's how I learned, got into housing, doing houses and stuff, remodeling houses. And then when I came out here, I was only supposed to be out here for 2 weeks, to be honest with you. My cousin, I had moved out here with my cousin, right?
Uh
And
huh.
so I ended up, she asked me to come out here when I got back to Arkansas from North Carolina. And I ended up coming out here. It was supposed to be for 2 weeks. And I ended up getting a little job, right? And so she came to me one day and told me that she was moving back to Arkansas. So I'm stuck, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to go back, so I've been here ever since.
Texas, interesting. I mean, that's not a big jump from Arkansas to Texas, although the heat is probably a lot
the
different.
the mentality was different, but yeah, the heat is definitely different.
Like I said, it's 90 degrees over here. And I like the heat, but I know Texas gets up to like 120 sometimes. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, and it's humid. You could just be standing there and start sweating. You don't even have to be moving.
I might have to invent a portable shower at this point. It's getting ridiculous out here.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
getting crazy.
so you had mentioned that. Well, I had mentioned, but you told me. Um, your mom passed away when we was 11 years old.
Yeah.
Um, and I've had guests on a podcast talk about those type of experience and how whether it was negative or positively impact your life, that it had an impact on them. For you, was that a big impact in your life?
It changed everything for me. I didn't realize how much of an impact it had until I got older. And for a long time, I carried around anger and uh, I just didn't understand why, I was trying to do things and didn't really have the guidance that I was looking for because me and my mom, we were like best friends. You know what I'm saying? She was in the sports, I was in the sports. So she was always at my games, I was at her games, stuff like that. I was the water boy on her team, the bat boy, and, on her softball team. Yeah. So I was, it was that type of relationship. And so when she died, that was like I didn't know where to go. At 11 years old, you don't know. And then my dad, he worked so much that he really didn't have time. And so when me and my sister, we went to stay with me, my granny, she worked two jobs because she had my other two cousins, because my uncle and my auntie was going through their stuff.
Yeah.
And so she had four of us in the house, and I had to be the man of the house at like 12, 13 years old. So, you had to grow up quick.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I like I said, I grew up uh in the projects, and there's a lot of I met a lot of people with that same a similar situation, but not everybody goes down a positive road. Unfortunately, sometimes it leads them to the street life or whatever. For you, how
Yeah.
did you maintain your composure though, and staying on that positive route? Because it's easy to use that as an excuse, if you will. Not to say it's not traumatic, but how did you use that as a positive influence, going forward in your life?
I for a long time I didn't know how, until I started learning myself because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was going. I had no direction. All I knew was to go to work or go to school. That's what I was taught before she died. And then after that, it was like everybody kind of pacified everything. Like it was justified that whatever I did because of my mom passing. So nobody really disciplined or so I kind of did get into the streets and try to do little certain stuff and when you're trying to find your way, uh started hustling. I ended up going to jail and everything like that. And that's where I realized when I had my daughter, that's when everything changed. And I realized uh I got to do better than this.
Yeah, that's a common thing for a lot of people when they have kids. It changed them. For you, like growing up, and then moving to Texas, what was like the biggest culture shock for you, and what what was the transition like for you when you finally moved down there and planting your roots in Texas?
Uh, Man. So in Arkansas, let's say you ride by somebody and you wave, everybody, you wave. It's like a neighborly mentality. When I came, when I came to Texas, I ride by, I speak to people and stuff like that, and they looking at me like, "What is this? What's wrong with this dude?" Like it was different. Like out here, you can live by somebody, you can have a neighbor for 7 years and not know who they are. In Arkansas, you're not gonna live there 7 days and not know who they are because they're gonna come to you and see who you are. Here it don't really matter as much. It's not that neighborly type mentality, and that was a big adjustment for me. Coming from how I was raised, I had to change a lot of the ways that I think because if not, you'll get played out here in the city like that. I.
Yeah, I'm curious because I remember when I first heard you speak, I kind of sense like a little like twang in your voice. Do you consider yourself like country, or like how would you describe yourself?
I would say I'm still country at heart, but being out here for 20 years, I think I done got that city mentality. But at heart, I'm still country, so I guess that's why I keep that accent. And plus, everybody out here kind of got that accent anyway. So
Look, man, I've only
they
lived
tell
in.
me in Texas that I have an accent, and I'm like, what the? I'm from the South too.
You know what's crazy? I'll tell you this. I always thought because I'm from New York, So whenever I thought of the South, I thought of North Carolina, South Carolina,
Yeah,
Atlanta, Georgia. I had no idea the South people actually consider Texas, those
yeah,
states, the South. Uh,
yeah.
is that like the big thing for y'all? Like, do y'all have a lot of people talking about y'all not the South or whatever the case? Is that like a big debate there or no?
No, not really. It's mostly about states. You know what I'm saying? Like the main thing, like the South stick together. So you'll have Kentucky, you'll have your Tennessee, your Arkansas, and stuff like that. So when it comes to regions, nobody really say that, oh, we're more South than you or nothing like that. But as far as like say Oklahoma or somebody come around, then you might have a problem because you Midwest. You know what I'm saying? So
Interesting. So, I do want to get into this because I have noticed, and I haven't really talked about these type of topics in a while, but I figured, it's a good, topic to have with you because you lived in an area that a lot of people would assume a lot of racism is prevalent. I don't think Texas is as bad anymore, but there's some instances of, things happening. For you, do you find it, has that been a big part of your life having to face that criticism or being a black man living in certain areas where people might look at you different because of your skin color?
oh man, growing up, I was in all the advanced classes. You know what I'm saying? So I was a lot of my classes. I was the only black person in there. I was on Quiz Bowl. I was in like the gifted and talented, the stuff that they had like that. A lot of the times, I'm the only black person in there. Maybe it might be a black girl, but that was about it. And it would be times to where like I remember this one time, the teacher she calling out grades, right? And so she called my grade out like it was a C or a D or something like that. And so when she going over the answers, I'm like, well, I got the answers right, And so I go back up there to tell her, and oh, it must have been a mistake. But she didn't tell the class that she made a mistake. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? She wanted the class to make it seem like, oh, I got a bad grade or whatever. But it was, it was little stuff like that that I had to go through. I went through a lot of different things. Had classmates like invite you to parties and then you get to the party and you really wasn't supposed to be there,
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah, I done had I went through quite a few things dealing with racism. But in Texas, it's not really like that. I haven't had to deal with it as much, I guess because it's a little different mentality. Everybody, it's a lot of mixed relationships and stuff out here, so they kind of gotten used to it.
You know what? Let's have some fun. I want to ask you about something real quick because I do want to get to your brand, your the thing that you got going on the Black Club. But I do want to ask you because you mentioned mixed race relationships, so I just have to bring it up. Dr. Umar Johnson, for people who
Ah,
don't know, he's very outspoken on that, and
yeah.
I'm not sure if you dibble and dabble with interracial relationship stuff, but how do you feel like when you hear comments like that? Does that impact you? Because I do know, like Texas, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, a lot of the more suburb country areas. There's a lot of that going on. Is that is that like a big talking point for you in your life, or like how do you feel about comments like that? Like, hey, you need to just stick within your own race and that type of thing.
I've dated outside of my race. I've it to each his own. I don't think whoever you find to love you and whoever you love, I think that's who you should go for. I don't think it should matter about color or anything like that. But if you choose that, that's your choice. But for me personally, I've tried it. I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd do it again. I kind of like sticking with my black women, but I did try to, a couple times. I've never had a white girlfriend because my granny always told me not to bring a white girl in the house. So I wasn't allowed to have a white girlfriend. So yeah.
Trust me, I'm sure a couple of them said the same thing to their,
Oh yeah.
because I know the South. I do hear like a lot of famous people talking about growing up in the South and how that's still a big stigma a lot of, I mean, interracial relationships have popped up, in the last couple decades, but there's still a lot of racism and stuff like
Yeah.
that going on. So I'm always curious because I've never been to the South or Middle America. I have no idea what life is like over there. So I'm always just curious about what it is because, like, being in New York, you see all types of people with each other. So it's not,
Yeah.
not a thing. So have you ever been to New York or like LA?
I've been to New York when I was with my uncle in North Carolina. We did that whole East Coast coastline. So I've been to New Jersey, New York, South Carolina, Florida, all through that whole little area over there. So I liked it. It was just it kind of had it wasn't as what they show on TV, but it was all right.
Uh, don't take what TV shows you for granted. Because you know what, it was the same thing for me when I moved to LA. I mean, I didn't move out there because of what I saw, but it makes you feel like everything's so picturesque until you
Yeah.
get there. You like, oh, okay, now you see people sleeping on sidewalks, and but
Yeah.
trust me,
They
I
don't show
got
you that
plenty
part.
of stories. But I'm curious because I often hear a lot of people who are from the South or just from not an urban city talk about how that New York is a very different place. Like they would never want to live there. Like for you, how was your experience like coming to New York?
I liked it. I like people anyway. So especially sarcastic people, that I fit right in. So I was, I was at home. I
That's New
speak
York,
very
yeah.
good sarcasm. So
Would you ever move here or no?
nah, nah,
Yeah.
nah. I can't deal with the traffic. Yeah, I mean traffic is bad here, but in New York, oh my God, you don't even need a car. You just, you might as well just Uber or taxi or something because having a car in New York is pointless.
It is, and unfortunately, people still got cars, and it's a. I mean, it's one. It's the city where you can take public transportation anywhere. You don't need
Yeah,
one, but when you make a certain income bracket, you feel like you're above public transportation. Which
yeah,
in LA, I can understand. LA, when I lived in LA, the public transportation may like I enjoyed using it, but subconsciously when you seeing Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis flying
yeah.
past you as you leaving the station, you're like, I need to be like that. But New York, nobody. I've seen so many SNL stars, actors on the subway. It's just like a whole thing. Now let's get into because you mentioned you love your black woman. So I think it's
Yeah.
only fitting to mention the Black Club. Uh,
Okay, okay.
Before we even get into the whole message and concept of it, how did you even start your own? Because it's not easy to start your own, business, your own brand. How did
Yeah.
you even come up with the concept of the Black Club?
What got me started with all of this, I started researching, I wanted to know who black people was before slavery. Because everything in history, and like I said, I was in all the advanced class and I still didn't get taught nothing. The only thing we got taught was from the point of slavery up until, everything else, Martin Luther King and all of that. So I wanted to know, I'm like, okay, well, I know we didn't start at slavery, so who were we before then? And once I found that out, it was like, oh, that's why they don't tell us who we were before slavery. They don't want us to know that much. So that's what made me get started with this because I was like, well, how can I share what I've learned with the people? Me going around just telling people, you can't just say, people look at you crazy and stuff like that these days. But if you can back it up and have people on that can back it up, then, you might get your message across.
Interesting. Like, so what year did you start? Like, is this a new thing or is this something you had in the works for a while?
Oh, it started in COVID. When COVID happened and we all got shut down and we had nothing to do. So I
Shout out to
had to,
COVID.
yeah, I had nothing else to do. So I started researching.
Interesting. So, like, out of all the things you could have done, you see so many podcasts talking about relationships,
Yeah.
all types of stuff. What made you feel like this is something I can do? Because a lot of people tend to do things that are more popular. Oh, you see podcasters that, they're talking about, a specific subject. So I'm going to go down that lane because it's popular. This is, I'm not saying it isn't popular, but it's a very niche type of market, right? So for
Yeah.
you, what was the thought process behind it? Like, were you did you have a lot of like bumps and bruises along the way? Did you ever think of, hey, let me change the concept a little bit, open it up, or was this like when you first made it, you was like, this is where I'm going, I'm sticking to it?
No, I changed the concept 3 or 4 times because what I wanted to do was something kind of like comedy, and then I was gonna base it on relationships. And I looked at every podcast out there is similar. You know, everybody is degrading women or degrading men, and there's nothing that's bringing unity, nothing that's bringing education, nothing that's bringing something that's value to our community. And that's what I saw something different. And I was like, okay, it's not popular, but I think with my personality, I can make it popular because I can entertain at the same time, educate and have people on. And as long as I feel like I can carry the show in a certain way, maybe, people will start to pick up on it. Because when you read a lot of the comments under those other podcasts, a lot of people getting tired of those shows. They
Hmm.
getting tired of those same topics, even though it's popular. They getting tired of it, and people now are starting to want to learn, and they want to learn something that's going to value them. And why not learn how to start you a brand, start you a business, how to be self improve. Why not learn financial literacy, something
Right.
that's going to create generational wealth or teach you how to invest down the line.
Yeah.
That's so I feel like maybe it's not popular now, but who's to say it won't be?
Oh, it will be. Like I said, shout out to the pandemic because I feel like the pandemic, if it wasn't for it, I probably wouldn't even have this. So it's
COVID.
definitely, man, COVID came in. Well, let me say, a lot of people die. I'm not making fun of COVID, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, it brought some benefits if you use your time wisely. Um, but what is the Black Club like? How would you describe it to someone who's coming across for the first time and they want to check it out? How would you describe the Black Club?
I would say it is uh the platform that's all about black culture. Anything you want to learn about black culture, I want to talk about. Art, I want to talk. I mean, it's gonna have music, the entertainment, all of that subjects too, the trending topics, but at the same time, have something that's gonna promote us, even though we might not have major brands or major businesses or whatever, but I feel like if I can grow my community big enough, then when those small brands come on, they can grow. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be able to be a supportive community and something to where it'll be valuable to our community. And instead of just having stuff that's bringing chaos and trying to get clickbait and just to go viral and shit like that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's easy. It's easy to fall into that trap, especially with social
yeah,
media. Trust me,
it might
I've,
take me a little longer, but hey, yeah, I think it'll be worth it in the end once people see and catch on to what I'm trying to do.
yeah. So let me ask you, because like I told you, you got the background, you got the logo back there. I mean, you got your own stuff going on. Like, so for you, what was the process like? Was this like a piece by piece thing, or you jumped in the head first? You bought all the stuff that you needed to get off the ground running. Like, what was the process like behind the scenes for you to get this off the ground up? Because you also have a website. I checked it out. I mean, you selling merch. You got a whole, dissertation of a website. So a lot of information. So was this something that took a while for you to kind of brand and come up with, or what was the process like for you?
Yeah, it took me a while. First thing I did, I just started researching everything I needed and how to go about it. I was watching videos, I'm reading articles, I'm buying books, off Amazon. So before I even started buying equipment, I was researching the business side. I wanted to know what I needed to do and how I needed to go about everything because CPMs and all of that stuff matters. You got to know
Yeah.
that. So then I started buying the equipment piece by piece. I couldn't just get it all at once.
No.
Not with this economy. so just took it a little bit at a time. It took me like a year and a half to get everything before I even started recording. I had everything set up, the website, I had all of that, my store. I had all of that set up before I started reaching out, before I even told anybody about anything. I was already completely ready. I just needed the content.
Wow. Yeah, you did better than me. I bought the mic and everything, but I had nothing else. I had people walking behind me. I had ambulances blaring. I'm like, what's going on here? You know, like you talked about, it's hard to buy everything up front.
Yeah.
I was, man, this economy, I can't even pay my rent in full. Nah, I'm
Nah. He said,
who am I kidding? But like for you, so like we, the Black Club is an, it's an entity on its own. For you, what comes with that? Hip hop, black is black culture. There's a lot of stuff involving black
yeah.
culture. For you, are you trying to tap into all of it, or are you just trying to keep it more of like the positive? Light side, or for you, are you going to tackle all the subjects that are seen in the community? Like, what is
Yeah.
like for you the vision?
I want to tackle all the anything that's about black culture. Like mental health. I think that's important. I think like financial literacy, investing, real estate, how to invest. Because a lot of people they might want to, but they don't even know how. They don't even know where to start. And that's what I want to bring. I'm gonna have people on with that expertise. I don't have the expertise. I didn't go to any kind of college or nothing like that. So I'm gonna have people on that did, so they can bring their expertise to the show, and I just bring my entertainment to it, and my little value that I provide. I mean, I know from what I've researched and stuff like that, but I just want to have something that I don't know, just different. I didn't want to do like everybody else. It's gonna be interview style. It's gonna be solo style. I'm gonna have it's. I'm gonna open it up, of course. But once I get the money going, you know.
Trust me. I went to the grocery store this morning, man. Let me tell you,
ah,
I, you got an extra spot in your house?
man, man.
But I'm curious, like because when we was talking, I remember you had asked me, like, you know, talking about motivation. You know, what was the motivation behind it, though, right? Because I think sometimes it might be a prior experience, or like for me, when I was on your platform, I talked about how acting kind of led me to down this path. Was this
Yeah, yeah.
something particularly that inspired you to do that, or was it just you just wanted something to create for yourself? During the time of just sitting at home, and like for you, is there something that motivated you to do this, or anybody?
My kids. I was sitting there. Okay, so I'm researching. So I'm trying to teach them what I'm learning, and it seemed like I was speaking a foreign language. You know what I'm saying? And it made me realize it's not their fault. It's my fault for not knowing ahead of time. And so I paid attention to them, and I was like, well, they always on social media. So where can I reach them, and not only them, but everybody on social media? So I was
Right.
like, hey, this is a certain way. I know it's gonna take a while to, get the brand out there and stuff like that. But I think once I do, because now that they saw what I'm trying to do, now they paying attention. I got their attention. But I had to show them. You know what I'm saying? So that was my motivation to start it was them. I
You know,
wanted to
I
show them, teach them how, to invest and teach them how to be. I didn't want them to have the same life that I did. That
right.
was my whole thing.
You know, this is a hard thing, right? Because I think some people, unfortunately, I met some podcasters or other content creators along the way. A lot of them kind of fell off of it pretty quickly. One of the things I've talked to other people about this. What made you stop? And they was like, it just became hard. Like I think for a lot of people, they don't understand the hours that you put in to edit, to research, to make sure you have all the stuff info on your guests, the technical stuff, buying the
Right.
equipment. It's an investment, right? For you, what is the hardest thing about being your own business, and what is the easiest?
The hardest thing is doing everything myself because you can't pay nobody yet. So, doing the research, the editing. Uh, right now, I'm working with two agents. They've been doing pretty good about getting me guests, and so that's been the easiest part about it. Now, for as far as the easiest, I like talking to people, so that's easy for me. I like black people anyway. I love my people, so having black people on, that's just right up my alley. It's just like having a regular conversation. A lot of times I forget that the camera is on and I pause and I'll be like, oh shit, I gotta ask a question, something like that. But
A professional. No.
I'm learning. But
Yeah.
it's a learning process. I didn't realize how much work it took actually.
Hmm.
Once you do get the recording, and you still got a lot of work to upload it and the clips, and it's a lot to it.
Yeah. It's a lot of people think it's easy. Like I told you before, when you interviewed me, it's the same thing with acting. And one of the things, I'm sure I mentioned his name already. People who watch the podcast already know I had him on. Reggie from Bad Boys. That was
Yeah.
one of the things I asked him, was acting. Like, was it easy for you? And I think a lot of people think you just memorize some lines and you just show up and you do the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
that's 1% of the job. Like, you don't. That's not covering everything that goes with it. So for you, like, you built a whole brand. Like, like I said, I went on the website. You got a lot of information on there. You have merchandise. Like, what made you go have all of that ready so quickly? Because for even me, me personally, I barely had a website when even a year into when I started. So for you, how did you come up with the fact that, all right, now that I have this brand, it's not just a podcast. I have logos, I have merchandise. Like, was this something like when you first started, you knew immediately you wanted these pieces, or it just kind of came naturally along the process?
Yeah, it came along the process. As I was researching, I'm starting to listen to certain people like Mr. Beast and people like that,
Mhm.
how they got started with theirs, and a lot of the stuff they wish they had did. And so what I did was, since I hadn't started nothing yet, I went on and took the time to get all of that taken care of first. That way, so when I do start, I can already have everything going. I'm kind of already monetized without having to wait to get monetized. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I kind of felt like I wanted to have different ways to where, just in case, I could bring in some other money while I'm waiting for the platform to actually grow.
Right. How do you balance life with the Black Club and just your personal, like you said? I'm pretty sure being a dad is like your number one priority. Like, how do you find a
Yeah.
balance? Like, because I know some people, they only record on certain days, or maybe when you first start, you like, what, I'm willing to put in the time in to get this off the ground. Like, for you, is there sacrifices you have to make in order to get this thing off the ground?
Oh yeah, like I was supposed to be at work today, but I got vacation time, so I've been putting in a little vacation time to get some guests and stuff like that. You got to make little sacrifices. I try to make my recordings on Mondays, but it depends on the guest, and so sometimes you have to fit around their schedule, and especially starting out, so that's that right there as far. But it's good because I only work 4 days a week, so I can kind of, finesse here and there little things
Yeah.
around my schedule. And then as far as like with my kids, I get them on the weekends, and like they teenagers now, so daddy ain't the cool daddy no more. So they at that point to where they want to chill with their friends and stuff like that. I'm just needed for money now, so you know.
And you make them a guess. You know what? Now they making you money.
Yeah, yeah. So it varies with them. Whenever they want to come over, I ain't tripping, But it's at first it used to bother me, like, hey, y'all don't want to spend no time with me now, like, But it don't no
Yeah.
more.
You know what? I wasn't gonna ask you this, but I do have a cool question, because I remember, I had a journalist on the podcast. He, pretty prominent, covering UFC and stuff. And he was talking about this on a live stream he was doing. And I want to ask you this, like, being, you grew up, in a time where, like, even for me, I grew up with, MySpace and all that stuff, but technology wasn't what it was today. So
Right.
being a father, like, is it um do you find it challenging with technology? Like you said, you're not the cool dad no more. And I don't think it's more so the fact that you're not cool. I think that, technology, people
Yeah.
aren't going outside like they used to. Do
Yeah.
you feel like, it's hard to balance, technology, social media with your children? Like, do you feel like you have to limit, or, try to get them off the phone, when they're around?
Man, it's with today's time, it's hard to be a father, especially a father of girls, because there's so much that's out there that can influence them, and if you don't have the type of baby mother, I hate to say that term like that, that is on the same page with you, it makes it even more difficult. You know what I'm saying? So uh with me, I at first I used to try to go that route with limited them and limiting them. I can't get the words right today.
It's hot, man. I don't blame you.
Man, hey, but I tried to change it up with them because now it's at a point to where I try to let them learn on their own, and if they need something from me, if they need some advice or something like that, of course I'm here for them, you know what I'm saying? But where it's at right now, the way social media is and the way everything is, it's so hard to try to limit them, but you can't. You can't really guard every hour of the day. At some point they're gonna get on the phone, they're gonna see something, all you can try to do is just teach them, tell them what you know. And for me, I'm more traditional, so these modern ways don't really fit with me like that.
Really?
Yeah, this modern parenting, yeah, I don't really, because they just let their kids do anything, and kids don't know what they want these days. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't know what we wanted as kids, but we had parents to kind of guide us. These days they don't know it, especially these kids these days, because they so lost. You know what I'm saying? They so far behind. All you can do is just try to instill in them what you know.
Yeah. The only one thing I would just say I disagree with is like not knowing who you want to be as a kid, right? Because I knew when I was a kid I was the most electrifying man until
I
Dwayne
knew you was finna
Dwayne
say.
Johnson stuff.
I knew you was finna say that.
I had you knew it was coming. Yeah,
I knew you was about to say that.
you knew it.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
just
Like
playing.
it's hard, man, being a parent these days. A lot of people don't understand that with the influence and the stuff that's going on. You really have to, and you can't stay on them like that because you don't want to be that type of parent. You know what I mean? But you want to give them their freedom, their ability to make their own choices. But at the same time, it's like, what choices would they make with what they see that's going on?
Right.
And for me, like my kids stay like 2 hours away from me, so it's kind of hard to. I can't just get up and go, and you know what I'm saying, handle something. I got to talk to them and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's difficult.
When you say you're traditional, does that like do you mean like well, morals in regards to technology, or you just mean like parenting wise?
Yeah, like with morals, I don't. I believe a kid should be a kid. You know what I mean? Like, let a kid go outside and play. Let them socialize. That's the time that they need to be trying to learn how to socialize and learn how to be around other people. Learn how to correct their behavior. The kids don't need to be worrying about what's going on with adults until they get to that point. And that's what I tried to do with my kids. I tried to keep them kids, and protect their childhood as long as I could. But
Right.
for me, that like the way they parent these days, they give their kids too many choices, and kids don't know what they want to do. They have no idea. They don't know what direction they want to go. They're just finding their way. And one thing about kids, they gonna always want to choose the easiest path for them. And that's what these parents got to realize. You have to make it hard for them. You have to give them challenges because life gonna challenge. If you let it be easy for them, by the time they get older, they ain't gonna know what to do.
Yeah. I I don't know what I'll be like as a parent, but I'll tell you this: when if I got a big plate of cheesecake in front of me, go play with the tablet. Get out now. You stop.
Yeah.
I always ask people this question just because is I think a lot of people don't really understand the impact of AI, right? What do you feel about the way our society is moving to technology, right? Because we have, everybody has a smartphone. now you have these vision goggles that you can just put the headset on, virtual reality, and play that. I've actually the other day I saw someone in the park with it on, and they were playing in the middle of the park. I'm like, look at this guy, but I know you say you're traditional. Does that extend to the way how you view technology and stuff too, or?
No. I mean, I love technology, especially as far as the business side of things, because I can do some stuff, run things by myself, and don't have to worry about it. As far as personal side, the only thing about it is going to replace a lot of jobs,
Mm-hmm.
for people, and that's what the only thing about it that I don't like. But as far as being a business owner, the software and stuff like that, I love it. So
Trust me,
you know, it's kind of
save a
hard
lot of
to,
money every month.
right.
It's I, for me, I embrace it because it's here. I
Yes,
think
here it ain't going nowhere.
exactly. At this point, it's too late, right? I think we can mitigate what happens with it, but it's here. And the reason why I ask you, because I know, like, I think Tesla, did they are they still based in Texas, or I think they moved.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
They moved to Texas. They
oh,
were in
that's right.
Delaware.
And like I already know the highways and the streets are flooded with Tesla cars. I'm trying to get my hands on one. Could you tell Elon to hook me up?
Yeah, I got his number. I call him.
Tell him I got Bill Gates on speed dial. We'll set something up.
Already.
Uh, so what do you see yourself 5 years from now? Do you have a vision? Do you have a goal you're trying to achieve outside of
Yeah.
just like the basic stuff? Getting a certain amount of subscribers or whatever. But like, is there a vision or a goal you want to take the Black Club to?
Yeah, the Black Club just a stepping stone. This is just the beginning of this is just to get everything else started. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a whole clothing line coming that's strictly for black people. I got another show, a sports show that I got my whole vision, my media company that I got lined up. I got a foundation that's coming. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff planned. I already got my brands and everything ready. I'm just, getting this to where it need to be, and then once I get this brand to where it need to be, then I can branch out and start the other stuff. Because the plan for the Black Club is I plan on getting co-hosts and maybe eventually letting somebody else host it. You know what I'm saying? And letting it be a platform that can people can come on and grow their brand, and if they need to move on, but the brand itself will be its own platform.
Right.
For but I don't know if I'm gonna stay hosting it myself. I kind of want to let somebody else get that shine once it gets to a certain point, and that way I could start doing the other stuff that I plan on doing for the
Oh,
community.
so you like
Yeah.
the modern day P Diddy? All right, no,
No.
no.
No. My part is gonna be all right.
You don't need a Cassie. I no. Let me
Mm-mm,
stop.
mm-mm,
Let me
mm-mm,
stop.
mm-mm,
I'm
mm-mm.
trying to get sponsored. Let me stop.
Yeah.
uh, no. Like I told you, man. I think the concept is cool, and I think that you're finding your own lane, and I think in
Yeah.
this society is hard. I think a lot of people are finding it hard to find original content because, like you said, I'm tired of just seeing relationship podcasts where they're spewing the same garbage and nothing is unique, but the Black Club is unique. And I think that what you have is, it'll come a long way. I think you know what you're doing. You got your head on the right shoulder. And I think that one of the benefits of technology, right, is we could do
Yeah.
everything virtual. And,
Yeah.
I get sometimes people ask me, hey, have you ever thought about getting a studio? And the only thing with that is unless have millions in the bank where you can fly people out and get them, because
Yeah.
at that point when you get into a studio, most of the time you're going to try to get just name brands,
Yeah.
name guests. And like at this point, I am getting those guests on, but I still want to maintain the root of having being reachable to the everyday man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want
Right.
to be, Someone told me this yesterday. It was like, yo, I'm surprised you invited me on a podcast. I'm like, why? It's like, because you Hollywood now. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not like that. I think people have that perception of me because the way I look. But
Yeah.
I don't got the jewelry on. I don't got the logo. I got the fridge in the back. Welcome to New York.
Man, I might have to come back though. I need to take me a trip back to New York. Find me something to do out that way.
Let me tell you one thing. If you're gonna come out here, make sure you got the credit cards on zero because you will be leaving with some debt. Because it's expensive. I mean, have you ever rode the subways before?
No.
Oh, you have to. That's like the best way. The subway. I would say the city bike, although since you're not from here, it might run you a couple dollars. So I maybe just to try it, the e-bikes, but the subway you have to. It's extensive and it could be overwhelming. And unfortunately, in New York, not everybody's gonna be taking kind to helping you. But don't do the tourist thing. Don't get those big old maps that you got to put. Like, first of all, who does that anymore? It's 2024. Like, come on, especially the older ones that do that. But yeah, just you got to try the subway, man. You're gonna be if you come during the summer, just bring some towels and some water because you're gonna be sweating a little bit. But
I'm in the South that I come out there, that might be good weather to me.
You'll be coming in.
Come with a tank top on and everything.
I keep forgetting you from 90 degrees to you. It's like winter time.
That's a good day.
I asked you this before. I'm like, how do I know when you live at a certain area for a while, your body I wouldn't say it gets accustomed, but you learn how to live in it. Like, I don't know how I would do in that type of climate, especially with all this hair. I might have to cut my hair.
Oh yeah, you definitely. Yeah, I'm bald now. That's why I had to cut all mine out.
Damn, I'm not ready for that, man. I'm the most charismatic man.
Now, the real reason why, when I was in jail, one of my cellmates, his son had cancer, right? And so everybody in the cell cut all their hair off because he was going through chemo. So when he came for visitation, we all, wore our hair bald for his little boy.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why. And I just liked it. They say I look like Tupac afterwards. So I was like, all right, I'll just keep it.
Oh, okay. So we got the new Tupac. All right, we got the new modern version of P. Diddy and Tupac. That's a 2-for-1 special on this one. No we got the modern day Masala here, man.
Man.
No, but it's always like for me. I always tell people I love meeting other people who are working because being in the entertainment industry is a lot of work, and this is just something that I don't view it as work. And so people are surprised,
right.
I do everything myself. I mean, I have my agents and managers and stuff, but this is my thing. And so I guess for you, this is something that you take great pride in because it's yours. It's not something that you and a couple buddies had a drink over a weekend. It was like, hey, let's start something tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Right. So for you, I do want to ask you one thing though, because I do see a lot of this topic coming up in the creative space. People stealing content, right? And this is why, I'll answer this question. People always wonder why I have the logo. And it's because people are using people's content as their own and they're not giving credit. Are you worried about that? Are you worried about people, using your content to build their own platform or stuff like that, or not? That's not a big concern for you.
Not right now, because if they use my content, then that'll give me some awareness too. So, right now, hey, use it. As long as you have my logo in there, I don't care, because they're going to say, well, who is the Black Club? Yeah. But, at some point, I don't know, because it's social media. It's going to happen, so I can't really worry about that part. I try to keep my brand as much as possible shown, so that if they do try to reuse something, it's still going to show me in it,
Right. You're going to get this work, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Man.
No. I know I call him all the time, but it's because he stole my nickname. So You know,
Yeah.
I got to come for him. You know, out with the old and with the new. Uh, but what's coming up with you? You got anything exciting you working on? I know. You know, when we spoke, last week, you had a bunch of episodes you was getting ready to put out. Do you have
Yeah.
anything exciting coming up, or anything exciting you're doing? Like anything you wanna, share with the people?
Uh, I got well, yeah. Once I get this, I'm in the process of getting like I said, the clothing line and the shoe line going. I'm talking to the people. It's gonna be called Nero, which means black people in Italian.
Interesting. Not
Yeah, so
negro, no. No.
yeah, so I'm getting that going, and that's what I'm gonna be trying to get launched here in maybe another 6 months or so. Trying to get some people over in the other country to get my brand correct. They keep messing up on the logo part, but uh,
Interesting. All right, so
yeah,
you doing better than me. Honestly, I've thought about doing that, like releasing merch. I just don't. Yeah, how like for you, like how did you come up with the concept? Like, did you have someone that you was friends with who's connected, and they helped you with the clothing line process? Like, because that's something I've actually been entertaining recently as the profile's gotten a little bigger. How was that for you? Like the process of doing the clothing line, is that easy for you, or is it still?
no, that was harder than getting this platform together because you have to find someone to distribute everything on a mass level. Then they have to manufacture. You got to find that. You got to, and you can, and like say you find somebody for a shoe, that's not the same as the shirt or the pants or whatever
Right.
else, the handbags. You got to find a different vendor for each one, different manufacturer for each one. That was the part that was hard for me. And now it's like, it's a process. And especially when they don't speak English. And so you got to wait for an email to come back and hope, it's a lot of this, I don't. You would think that people say when they got something started, they just put the money in and it got going. Nah, it don't matter about the money. It's a long process to it.
Yeah, what they say, you gotta in order. There's a quote I was about to say, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like I forgot it. The he is throwing me off, but yeah, it's I think people forget that you have to put in the time and the energy and the
Yeah,
equity sometimes. And some people they get lucky, they put a couple dollars in, it goes
and
off.
he.
Some people invest
I think for
thousands.
me, the good part was I looked into everything before I got started, and so I kind of knew what I was getting into. Researching, listening to the people on YouTube, and listening to a lot of the audio books and stuff like that. That's where I was like, oh, okay, well, I ain't got to worry about a lot of stuff because I didn't just jump out there, from the beginning. And I think
Yeah.
that's why I knew what to expect.
See, you did it like I said. You did it better than me. I kind of just one day picked up the phone and started recording. I had no plan, no idea, but but that's the beauty of it, right? Because even sometimes even the most everything detailed type of person may not get it, but the one
Yeah.
who, because it's all about consistency. It's not
Yep.
about having the money. You could be broke and still be successful, And
Yep.
uh, like I said, it's cool though because for you, it's not just a podcast; it's a whole brand itself. And so, like, what's the idea? You don't have to share too much. So I know it's not nothing is launched officially yet. But like, do you have an idea of what the merchandise and stuff you want to sell yet, or are you still working out the kinks and all that?
Yeah, I wanna have women's clothes, men's clothes, kids clothes, and I also wanna have like handbags, backpacks. Let me see what else was it. I think that was it as far as that clothing line in the beginning. I just want to keep it. I wanted to keep that kind of small. I don't want to do too much, go too broad with it.
Right.
I just want to do stuff to where and have it cheap, not expensive. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to have my stuff like Jordan's $200 and stuff for a pair of Jordan, but I want to have the same quality. You know what I'm saying? Like have us to where we could have our own, and what goes from that, the money that goes from that, I want to put it back into the community.
Right.
So yeah,
Interesting.
I want this to be what Fubu was supposed to be.
FUBU. I haven't heard that
Remember
since
that?
middle school. God, FUBU. Let me tell you, FUBU. If you were FUBU in New York City as a kid, you was getting roasted.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah, nah.
I
Nah.
remember I had FUBU. I think I had a FUBU jersey. Remember the big 05 on it and everything? Yeah.
Thank God you wasn't in New York.
Nah. In Arkansas back in the 90s, FUBU was what it was back in the day because we thought it was for us by us. We really thought that.
To
No,
be
it was.
fair, I will say like I make it like a lot of the like the jokes and stuff about like fashion. I think when you live in like an urban setting like New York, LA, whatever, everything is this is certain lifestyle. So
Yeah.
FUBU isn't. But like when I go back to Pennsylvania, like I see that. I'm not from Pennsylvania, but I'll go there every once in a while, and like I'll go in there with with these these new. I just got these new Adidas sneakers that what they call Adidas Out of Foam Q. They just released them I think like last year, and like I'll be wearing dress up like in New York, and people looking at me like, "Is this?" Someone actually called me Lil Yachty. I was like, you must be a rapper. I'm like, y'all need to step your fashion game up, Pennsylvania. You're slacking, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like so with the clothing line. Let me get back to it.
Yeah.
I'm jumping all over the place here. With the clothing line, is it going to be like your shirt, the Black Club, or you have different ideas of like the logo and design?
Yeah. I might have different ideas. I want to do polo shirts, regular t-shirts. I even want to have blazers. You know what I'm saying? I want to get us to get us back to dressing like, we used to dress back in the day with the suits and the hats and you know what I'm saying, like looking like something instead of wearing these sagging pants and stuff every day. I don't know. I think our community needs a change. And somebody gotta do it. Problem is
Yeah,
everybody's too scared to step out to do it because they don't want to be outside of the trend, outside of what's the norm right now. But why not start the norm?
amen to that. I mean that's beautifully said. I don't need to say nothing else. Uh, Yeah, I'll talk to you a little bit after this. I'm curious about something outside of this, but where can people find you and connect with you? Obviously, the Black Club Podcast.com. Do you have social media or anything that people
Yeah.
can
I'm on
follow you?
Facebook. I'm everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. On Facebook is Brandon Kirby. Instagram, I'm bnote83. Uh, YouTube, of course, the Black Club 01. I think Twitter is bnote83. Yeah, I'm everywhere. Anywhere you TikTok, bnote83. Yeah, I use
Yeah,
83 a lot. That's my birth year, so.
I was like, what the hell's 83 now? I got to step up my TikTok game. I'm slacking. Everybody tells me get
Hey,
on
man,
there, but
man, look, I thought TikTok you just post videos and stuff. Now you got to have some pizzazz to your videos on TikTok. You can't just put normal videos up there and think that's gonna get some. Nah, you got to stand out on TikTok.
that's a fact. That's why I think trust me, it's already a lot of work to have to promote on Instagram and all that. So to do TikTok is a whole nother
It's another
situation.
world.
Maybe when I expand the team at some point, I'll consider it.
Yeah,
But right now, it's dominant on Instagram. That's all I care about. That's all I need. I'm a simple man.
yeah.
Cheesecake and Instagram. Uh, but like I told you before, I appreciate what you're doing because I think there's not a lot of, voices in our community like us, giving other people a platform to speak their truth and, just to give somebody an outlet to speak their voice, let their voice be
Yeah.
heard. And, you know, like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. And it's not just a slogan, it's a way of life. And, Mr. B No over here, B No 83, is proving that every day. And he may be the Black Club. I might be the most charismatic man, but we out here promoting and we're giving people a platform to speak. And I'll let
Yes.
you leave with the last word. I'll give you the last word.
I like to leave my little episodes. I always say one thing we're gonna do. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna learn. We're gonna love. That's us on the Black Club.